Welcome to Fantasy Audiobook, Infinite Shadow Split. Chapter 36. When Tang Gao opened his eyes again, he saw a golden message reminder, which was in the lower right corner of his vision. Tang Gao sat up, rubbed his eyes, clicked on it curiously, and a series of information popped out. Alchemist Doppelganger Special Benefits. Prestige level increased twice. Prestige. I am not a medicine god. Overnight, the entire Liangcheng knew that there was an alchemy teacher who was only willing to sell pills at the cost price, the real cost price, without any profit, enthusiastically provided almost free treatment conditions for the residents of Liangcheng. Congratulations to Teacher Lian, you have won everyone's respect, love and admiration for you. Prestige is more excessive than the donkey of the production team. Surrounded by everyone, I witnessed a peerless scroll who did not eat, drink or sleep, 24 hours of alchemy, sleepy and tired and hungry, come to a pill. Congratulations to Teacher Lian, you not only won the residents' amazement at you, but also made it difficult for peers to match. Special rewards. Elixir effect plus 100%, alchemy speed plus 50%, attribute increase increased to 105%. This time I got a 40% attribute increase. What? I slept all night. What did I miss? Tang Gao looked confused. He didn't expect to wake up after sleeping, and the alchemist doppelganger gave himself such a big surprise. The effect of the elixir is plus 100%, the speed of alchemy is increased by 50%, and then this 40% attribute increase reward. Groove. What did he do? Tang Gao didn't care about washing, and hurriedly chose to get the benefits of hanging up, while observing the blessing to see what was happening at the scene. A memory flooded into his brain, and the experience of the alchemist doppelganger for one night was placed in Tang Gao's mind. On this night, the alchemist took this opportunity to send benefits to everyone in accordance with the order of His Holiness and the liver elixir that played with his life. More and more people stop here, and naturally there are people who are not comfortable and want to buy healing pills. The alchemist did not refuse, and the alchemy solved it on the spot, and even gave the medicine prescription intimately, so that the other party could go to the Tongrantang to grab the medicine and drink it for a while. Problems within the first order. The alchemist is particularly easy to solve, even if it encounters something that cannot be solved temporarily. After 2 or 3 months of cultivation, the Danfang level can be pulled up. The alchemist's cultivation is very low, but his cultivation output income is the most stable, and a potion of pills sold to the system shop can get cultivation rewards. After one night, the commercial street was already overcrowded, and some people even drove over with stretchers to ask the alchemist for help. The alchemist has a system store. Basically, as long as it is not a serious illness, it can be solved. Even if it is a serious illness, with the characteristics of the system to ask and answer, it is actually stunned to give solutions to many difficult and complicated diseases. Tang Gao was stunned, and he didn't expect that the system's question and answer function actually exerted such a powerful effect in the hands of professionals. Groove. In Liangcheng Pedestrian Street, the alchemist doppelganger was sold at a roadside stall at first, and more people were behind it, so they had to move to the center of the square to avoid causing traffic congestion. The alchemist sat at the table separately, took the pulse of the girl in front of him, touched it calmly for a minute, gave the treatment plan in his heart according to the judgment, and then looked at the correction given by the skill, optimized it, took out the brush to write down the treatment plan, and instructed. You take this bottle of raw wood Dan, stay up less late in the future, and don't lie on the left side and play with your mobile phone. Your liver needs to be regulated, look at the distance when it is empty, and moderately adjust your vision. The girl opened her mouth wide. Wow. Doctor, how do you know that I am lying on the left side? Your left and right eye vision is different, your liver told me. Okay, next. Wei Zhe sat on the side, from shock at the beginning to admiration that could not be stopped now. The donkeys of the production team are not comparable to this. Since last night to now, this sale of pills has not stopped, and by the way, he has also worked part-time to see a doctor. I can't bear this boredom a little. This one actually has a flat expression from last night to now, without blinking his eyes. Divine doctor, please look at my mother. What's wrong with my mother? Let's let one. Quote. A middle-aged man sweating profusely came over with another young guy carrying a stretcher. On the stretcher lay an elderly woman who convulsed from time to time, foaming at the mouth from time to time, and the situation was dangerous at first glance. The alchemist hurriedly got up, walked quickly to the stretcher. Directly used the skill judgment and inquiry system, took out the silver needle from the space backpack, quickly inserted it on the ant's chest. His eyes were calm, and he kept instructing in his mouth. I stimulated the death cave to stabilize the situation, took a nourishing heart pill in warm water, fed it to this ant, and after stabilizing the situation, you took this prescription and sent it to the central hospital in Liangcheng. I've bought you 3 hours, and within 3 hours you'll be safe and sound. My conditions here are rudimentary, and I can't cure this disease. The middle-aged man saw that his mother no longer twitched or foamed at the mouth, and tears suddenly fell, poof. Kneeling down and bowing down. Thank you, divine doctor. My mother suddenly became ill, and if you weren't here, my mother wouldn't have survived to the hospital. The alchemist hurriedly picked him up and shouted eagerly, don't waste time, send your mother over first, I can only fight for you for 3 hours. Okay, I'll go. Wei Zhe on the side personally polished the elixir into water with mana and fed it to Auntie, and at the same time injected a spell into Auntie, instructing, this spell of mine can save Ling Tang from once, can buy a little more time, you go quickly. Thank you. The middle-aged man hurriedly and another young man, carrying his mother on a stretcher, quickly ran to his car in the crowded road. The alchemist doppelganger looked at Wei Zhe enviously. The second-grade alchemist is so good, and he can master this exquisite spell. Quote, the spell just now protected Auntie's heart pulse and could greatly save the patient's life. Wei Zhe looked at him with admiration, surrendered his hand, and his tone was respectful. You can see the disease at a glance, the silver needle puncture point stabilizes the situation within 3 seconds, and a clear treatment plan is given, you are the more powerful one. Quote, it's not anyone who can accurately judge the symptoms at a glance. The judgment that only decades of old Chinese medicine practitioners has been seen in this young guy. The surrounding crowd burst into enthusiastic applause. Good, refining the divine doctor. Refining divine medicine, rejuvenating the clever hand. Refining the divine doctor, take a break. The doppelganger has no name and claims to be surnamed Lien, so he is respected by everyone as a refining doctor. The alchemist looked at so many crowds and smiled. There are still people lining up, I'll leave after reading these. Tang. Gao's consciousness floated to the side, stunned to watch the set of super divine operations of the alchemist doppelganger. Since last night until now, the alchemist doppelganger has not rested, and he has done things to the extreme. Although it has been grooved. But now, Tang Gao still wants to lie down. Groove. Tang Gao couldn't help but think of his liver test, the experience of liver tasks. Is this how others look at me? What a strong liver emperor. Chapter 37. The alchemist doppelganger treated everyone's pulse for a while, seeing that no one was queuing up for the time being, walked to the alchemy furnace on the side, sat on the ground, controlled the flame to start refining, and his eyes were focused. This alchemy furnace was after he gave a prescription to a patient and went to Tongrentang to grab the medicine. Tongrentang was surprised by the subtlety of the prescription and specially came to understand the situation. After understanding, Tongrentang kindly sponsored a second-grade alchemy furnace to himself to facilitate his own alchemy. It's convenient. The alchemist sits in front of the Dan furnace, the spiritual power is refined in the alchemy space, and in the real world, mana is consumed to refine the elixir, and the level is increased in both directions. In the surrounding crowd, some alchemists hurriedly picked up the bracket, turned on the recording equipment, hurriedly took out paper and pen from their pockets, and looked directly at the alchemy operation of the alchemy doctor. The alchemist doppelganger didn't care about this, his own skills were placed here, and he was not afraid of others to learn it. He who learns from me dies, and he who lives like me. Wei Zhe also took out the bracket to open the mobile phone to record, took out a pen and paper to prepare to listen to the alchemy experience of refining the divine doctor. His eyes lit up and looked forward to his operation. Although I have seen it many times, I will still be shocked by the thousands of refining doctors, and I can't understand why there is such a fast alchemy process. I'll go, this furnace is so fast, is this operation correct? In the crowd, some people were shocked by the outrageous operation of the refining doctor. The alchemist on the side held a pen and paper in his hand and shouted angrily, show your sister's superiority, don't look at the fuck off, this is a master. Quote. The angry alchemist is a middle-aged man with the sign of a second-grade alchemist on his chest. The person who spoke shut up and did not dare to speak again. The alchemist doppelganger paid no attention to the outside world at all, and while starting a fire, he grabbed a large handful of medicinal herbs and threw them directly. Teacher, isn't that right? Is this how medicine is used? The second-grade alchemist didn't look at the student, his eyes stared at the alchemy furnace. Shut up, remember the master's operation first, go back and review it again. Quote. Don't say you can't understand, I can't understand it. The alchemist doppelganger glanced at the fire in place, directly grabbed a large handful of the main medicine and auxiliary medicine and threw it in, closed the stove, closed his eyes and recuperated, and quietly controlled the flame to refine the elixir. The speed is extremely fast, so fast that it seems that the hand is in a hurry to return it to someone else. Plus 150% alchemy speed, not to mention that the people around couldn't understand it, even Tang Gao didn't see clearly what was thrown into it. A look of confusion appeared on Wei Ji's face, and he slowly put down the pen and paper in his hand. His expression gradually changed to respectful, and he looked at the back of the alchemist's doppelganger with adoration. This terrifying hand speed. Even if I do 10 together, I can't do this. Quote. The gap is so big that even his old fritters can't understand what's going on. Don't be shocked by the layman, let us insiders shock first. The second-grade alchemists around also put down their paper and pens blankly. Very good, but they didn't understand anything. I like the feeling that this knowledge slips through my head and I can't leave a trace. 10 minutes later, the alchemist doppelganger opened his eyes and turned on the stove, and there were 10 rosy and plump round pills lying quietly inside, exuding a wonderful fragrance. The dazed look in Wei Ji's eyes became even heavier. The fire-walking pill you refined, I recognize, how did you manage to finish refining it so quickly? And there is so much Chengdan, and the quality is still so good. Quote. Fast, many, good. It's completely incomprehensible. The alchemist doppelganger put on professional gloves, took out the fire-walking pill and bottled it. His eyes were calm. Haven't I already demonstrated it? You didn't understand. Wei Jie said helplessly and emotionally. Who do you think is here understands? Quote. The eyes of the Yipan alchemists are spinning in circles. They can't understand it at all, they only feel unconscious. The second-grade alchemists could vaguely feel that there was a mystery in it, but they still couldn't understand what it was at all, and only worship remained on their faces. I did understand a little. This technique is very bold, and it is even more subtle to the extreme, completely breaking through the previous technology. In the crowd, an old voice sounded. The alchemist doppelganger followed the voice and said with a smile, Old sir, can you explain it then? To be honest, I just knew it was the right thing to do, but you asked me to dictate it to others, and I couldn't do that. The crowd hurriedly dispersed, revealing an old man in a white coat, with white hair and kind eyebrows, with nothing hanging from his chest. When Wei Jie met, he was shocked, and hurriedly bent down and saluted. I have seen Elder Fang. When the alchemists around saw this person, their faces were shocked, and they hurriedly bent down and saluted. I have seen Elder Fang. The passers-by were shocked and hurriedly kept their distance. Who is this? I don't know, but it looks powerful. I don't have a brand on my chest, I don't know who it is. Elder Fang pressed his hand, signaled that everyone did not need to be polite, and said with a smile, I also came to see it with a breath. I didn't expect Xiaoyu to be so generous, saving people in times of danger. The healer is benevolent, and he also shows everyone the alchemy method for free. The alchemist doppelganger stood up, surprised, and bowed slightly. Hello old gentleman, but I have missed the welcome. Elder Fang walked over from the crowd with a smile and waved his hand. You're welcome. Xiaoyu has a naked heart, even I admire you, and I have been sleepless all night, treating and solving difficult diseases for the people of Liangcheng. There is also this alchemy technique, which is already very accessible, but if it is public, it is not impossible to cause earthquake effects on the pill industry. The alchemist smiled and said, the old man is wrong, how is this possible? I am just refining a pint of pills. Elder Fang laughed and pointed at Wei Jie. Ask him, how long does it take to refine a furnace of fire-walking pill? He is also a second-grade alchemist. Wei Ji's face was ashamed, and he handed over his hand. 1 hour, from the beginning to the end, about an hour. It is estimated that there are 5 good products when I come out. This is still because I am the second product. I can't do it so fast for you to refine 10 top-grade fire pills in 10 minutes. The alchemist doppelganger was surprised. So slow. Quote. Isn't that simple? I did it in 10 minutes. Wei Jie was slightly embarrassed and muttered, don't just talk about me, everyone present is so slow. The alchemists present were embarrassed, especially the second-grade alchemists, even more embarrassed. Elder Fang smiled and said, look, this is not a cultivation gap, but a real talent gap. If you want to do this, you are definitely very human. Not to mention the need to understand the amount of Danfang 1 milligram, the mastery of the fire is not bad, then the understanding of medicinal properties is the extreme, and then the ultimate self-confidence and thousands of refining techniques. It is the 4th-grade alchemist, who specializes in this pill formula, in order to achieve technical parity with you. In terms of self-confidence and technique, I am afraid that your talent will even be subordinate to me, an old man. The alchemist doppelganger was a little ignorant, thoughtful, isn't this very simple? Can't others do it? Wei Jie felt even more ashamed when he heard it, and quietly opened a little distance, only then did he feel better. The alchemists around them were silent, caught in the emotions that were inadvertently shocked by the genius. What to say? Let's shut up. Elder Fang stroked the white beard on his chin, sighed, and his voice was gentle. With my cultivation, plus the special alchemy furnace, I have learned your techniques, and I estimate that I can achieve the same level as you. The alchemist doppelganger smiled and handed over his hand. It's still the old gentleman who is strong. The shock on Wei Jie's face could not be suppressed, and he hurriedly stepped forward and pounded the alchemist's doppelganger. You. Don't you know who he is? The alchemist was surprised. I only know that this is Elder Fang, and I don't know who it is. Wei Jie was speechless for a while, and those words stopped talking. I'm dripping. The level of the industry bosses is equal to you, how can you think that people have won? He is the big boss of Liangcheng Tongrantang. This alchemy furnace you used is estimated to have been sent by the big guy with a nod his head. Elder Fang shook his head and stretched out 5 fingers. No, it's you who are strong. I am a 5th-order wood system cultivator, a 4th-grade alchemist, and I use a 4th-grade alchemy furnace, and my technique is even worse than yours. The alchemist doppelganger's face was stunned, and for the first time, he intuitively felt that his talent and effort were so strong. Elder Fang bowed his hand, saluted, and smiled. Mr. Lien is benevolent. Fang was taught today, he has gained a lot and has mixed feelings. This stove will be given to Mr. Lien, wishing him a bright future, and not forgetting to show compassion today, and to do universal salvation for the people's spiritual suffering. The alchemist doppelganger looked serious and handed over his hand. I don't have such a high level of consciousness under Sha, I just want to bring down the Clover Group, and return Liangcheng a Langlang Chenkin. Practicing medicine to save people is just going with the flow. Not to get such a heavy return. Quote. The 2nd-grade alchemy furnace is still of extraordinary quality, otherwise it would not have shortened the time so much. This thank you gift is too heavy. This one alchemy furnace, starting at 3 million. Elder Fang was slightly surprised, and then stroked the white beard and laughed. Okay, then my Tongrantang will also help Xiaoyu. From today onwards, all medicinal materials and pills of the Clover Group will be sold at cost prices. The alchemist looked at Elder Fang puzzled. Elder Fang smiled and said, a good person should have a good reward, and Xiaoyu must not refuse this gift. You can't keep good deeds on the altar of morality. If you receive a heavy reward today, more people will be willing to do good in the future. Those who hold wages for all, do not let them freeze to death in the wind and snow. The alchemist doppelganger sighed with emotion and saluted. Thank you Elder Fang, today has gained a lot. Students will not forget today's compassion and universal salvation of the people's spiritual suffering. Opening square bracket. Tongrantang, the head organization of Liangcheng Medical Association, joined the task, and the progress of the task skyrocketed. Please pay attention to check it. Chapter 38. Elder Fang returned the salute and smiled. Little friend, this is my mobile phone number, you remember, you can find me if you encounter problems in medicinal materials. I can't compare with you in speed and thinking, but in medicinal materials, my old man still understands something. The alchemist doppelganger hurriedly thanked him. Thank you Elder Fang. Elder Fang smiled and stroked his beard. I won't bother you refining pills, I still have to sit in the store. An old man, you are busy first, little friend. After saying that, Elder Fang did not wait for the alchemist to be polite, turned around dashingly, stepped on an emerald green cloud and flew to the direction of Tongrentan in the southeast. The alchemist doppelganger looked at his distant figure with envy. Flying in the sky, it's really a fairy day. Wei Zhe looked at him enviously. Elder Fang's contact information. This is not for everyone, you are about to take off. The alchemist doppelganger smiled. Without saying much, it is certainly a good thing to know this kind of big guy, but his own efforts are more important. Alchemy, alchemy. The alchemist returned to the alchemy furnace separately, and once again started the fire alchemy, his eyes looking at the furnace intently, as if he did not have much nostalgia for what happened just now. Wei Zhe looked at the posture of this liver emperor and smacked his tongue. Ruthless people, ruthless people. With this talent and perseverance, it is that without Fang Lao's support, I am afraid that sooner or later he will also be a big guy. Even if the alchemists around them couldn't understand it, they hurriedly began to take notes, writing down the parts they could understand. The alchemist's doppelganger paused, pondered for a moment, and began to try to explain his thoughts and techniques. Let's start with the most basic medicinal properties. The medicinal materials for refining fire-walking pills should be based on fire. We need these medicinal materials to neutralize. My technique is fast, but the basic law is still the set of medicine introduction, main medicine, auxiliary medicine. Wei Zhe looked at it, his eyes lit up, the bracket was put up, and he directly opened his live broadcast account to record the explanation of the big guy. I have to say that in the treatment of techniques, Master Lien does have something beyond mortals. Being able to learn 1/10 or 2 is of great benefit to one's own alchemy path. In the gentle and elegant explanation, everyone seemed to see a rising star of alchemy, illuminating the longing light in the eyes of the alchemist. Tang Gao's consciousness projection looked very emotional, and he always felt that this night had come over, and his doppelganger had grown a lot. Tang Gao took his consciousness back, and he understood why there was such a powerful gain. Awesome, awesome, 2 liver, non-stop alchemy. However, according to this progress, can I take the road of special enrollment and enter Qingkai? The effect of this is even better. Entering the Qingkai is very stable, maybe the reward is more generous. Tang Gao calculated for a while, and then left it behind. Now that passing the college entrance examination is already a very stable thing, then candidate a path he likes to develop. Okay, go to school. Tang Gaoma got up and began to wash, ready to eat. There was no one at home, and his parents had long since got up and went to the store to cook meat and cut meat to prepare for the day's work. Tang Gao put on his school bag, picked up the money on the living room table, quickly left the house, finished eating and went to the station to wait for Lu Ren to come over, and then went to school with him. Recently, his cultivation and physical fitness have improved too much, and Tang Gao's overall appearance is much better, and he looks energetic. Brother Tang, come with me. I'll take you to a good place. Lu Ren had not yet arrived, and his enthusiastic voice had already rushed to Tang Gao's ears. Tang Gao turned around and saw him rushing over with a bright smile on his face, elated, and eager to show off good things with himself. Tang Gao had a question mark. Don't go to school. Lu Ren hurriedly waved his hand. Quick, get on the car quickly, we still have time to go now. Lu Ren directly stopped a taxi, took Tang Gao straight to the direction of South Street, sat in the car and kept gesturing, cheerful. Brother Tang, let me tell you, you absolutely don't know what good things I found. Tang Gao looked at this familiar direction, was silent for a moment, and asked rhetorically, is there someone who distributes pills in the pedestrian street, as long as the cost price can be bought? Lu Ren was dumbfounded, stunned, and shocked. Brother Tang, you have been taken away. You've actually started paying attention to local news. Didn't you turn a deaf ear to something outside the window? Tang Gao had a groove to spit for a while, but he didn't know where to start complaining. Can I say that there are many recent hot events in Liangcheng that I am not only aware of, but also involved in? Lu Ren didn't care if Tang Jail was happy or not, put his arm around his shoulders, and his eyes lit up like a dragon who had discovered a treasure. Good man. I heard early in the morning that there are good people on the other side of the pedestrian street who give pills at a cost price, and I tell you, we have to go and make this lively. The driver listened in front, glanced at the rearview mirror, and said curiously, Child, aren't you afraid of quality problems? Lu Ren's chest snapped. It's impossible, Elder Feng personally went over and approved it, and the official account of the Pill Association sent a video to support this matter. The driver was surprised for a while, and looked at Lu Ren through the rearview mirror. Is it? Then I'll have to take a look. Soon, the taxi stopped 600 meters away from the pedestrian street, and Lu Ren took Tang Gao, holding his student ID card in his hand, shouting all the way, I am a student. I am a student. Let me buy first. I bought it and went to school. Tang Gao was so embarrassed that he covered his face with his hands, his toes clasped the soles of his shoes, and he couldn't wait to learn a trick and leave now. Lu Ren grabbed Tang Gao's arm desperately, shouted all the way, and squeezed into the top 20 position by relying on his student ID. The front can't be squeezed in, because the front is also a student. Fortunately, the speed of distribution was very fast, and it took less than a few minutes to reach Tang Gao. Lu Ren had already finished scanning the code, his eyes were shining, and he shouted loudly, I want the fire walking pill, the clear heart pill, the battle chi pill, and thank the boss for sending the pill. Send blessings to the door of thousands of families laughing. The owner is kind-hearted and handsome, and everyone loves. Great mercy and great love for the people. I wish the boss a bright future and a fairy. The boss is as good as the East China Sea, Shubi Nanshan, this life will be happy. Lu Ren was like the name of the dish reported by Nima, a series of blessings, just like the one who didn't want money, jumped out, and the alchemist doppelganger and Wei Zhe were stunned. Tang Gao gasped, his toes had already begun to clasp the villa, and he hurriedly wanted to retreat. It's already a shame to ask for pills with your own doppelganger, please don't make me more humiliated. Lu Ren saw him so shy, hating iron is not steel. Boss, my buddy is shy, I will thank you for him, cough. I wish the boss good luck as the headshot, and the fortune is wide into the door. The alchemist doppelganger was amused, and took an extra bottle of elixir and put it in Lu Ren's hand. Thank you, let's go quickly, don't delay the people behind. Lu Ren bent down again to thank. Big brother is really a good person. Okay, thank you big brother. After thanking him, he pulled Tang Gao to quickly get out of the way, scanned it again, quickly tapped his fingers, remarked a series of thanks, and smeared honey with his small mouth, so sweet that he didn't want money. The passers-by around looked at Jalehe. This guy has such a sweet mouth, he can really talk. Or this guy can be a man. Girl, you can also say 2 more words, maybe you can also get an extra bottle. Haha, as soon as you see this guy, something will come. Tang Gao hid his face and ran, even Lu Ren didn't want it. Tang Gao thought that he was not a social terrorist, but in front of this kind of social terrorist, he suddenly felt that he had no place. Brother Tang, Don Gao, you go slowly, you wait for me. Lu Ren hurriedly caught up, stuffed the bottles into his bag, and couldn't help muttering, what are you afraid of, Brother Tang? If you experience this kind of thing a few times, you will get used to it. Tang Gao looked up to the sky and sighed, I'm just afraid of a social cow like you. Quote, take me to do this kind of thing early in the morning, you are really strong. Chapter 39. Before entering the school, Lu Ren also took Tang Gao to buy a bunch of snacks and sat in the classroom with a full of snacks. Lu Ren tore open the snack and began to dazzle, while sighing, Brother Tang, look, is it good to follow me? Brother never forgets to be kind to you. The corner of Tang Gao's mouth twitched, and he didn't want to speak. Have you forgotten your brother? Lu Ren waved his hand. Onla, he got up early, I let him go first. By the way, Brother Tang, do you know why I buy so many snacks? Tang Gao snatched a spicy strip from his hand and chewed it expressionlessly. Going to visit the Liangcheng base today. Yes, although there are many interesting places, but to be honest, let's go in with these little cabbages, just take a look, bringing more snacks and drinks as king. Tang Gao was surprised. See. Lu Ren looked complaining. Otherwise, what else do you expect us to do? There's nothing fun there, all kinds of hard practice. The classmates in the back came up curiously. Young Master Lu, how have you been there? Lu Ren began to pour bitterly. Do you know how I spent my holidays when I was a child? Thrown by my parents in the barracks and trained with everyone. Is this something that normal parents can do? Tang Gao tactically leaned back and gasped. Why were you put in the barracks? Quote, shouldn't children be kept in their own homes or next to their grandparents? What is the operation of putting it in the barracks? Lu Ren sighed. Because of my father. When the situation was special, he stayed in the barracks to work, and my mother took me and my brother and me. Let me tell you, I have experienced a lot of outrageous things. Let me complain about this first. Lu Ren began to complain about how he was fooled to train at such a young age, and how he was fooled into penance, and spent hard experience that no one his age experienced. Tang Gao couldn't help but be impressed by Lu Ren. He didn't expect Lu Ren to have such a hard past. No wonder this kid is an excellent student in the martial test. After experiencing these things, it is impossible to fail the martial test results. After a while, Teacher Tian walked in with his backhand, with a rare smile on his face, and knocked on the classroom door with his hand. Okay, be quiet, everyone prepare, let's go to the Liangcheng base to visit. The group leader put away everyone's mobile phones and put them in my office. This kind of electronic equipment is not allowed on the base. You also consciously put away what will connect to the signal. The leader of the group came to collect things, and Lu Ren handed over his mobile phone while complaining. It doesn't matter if you bring it, there are signal checkers and shields on the base, and the big guys have long handled this kind of thing. Tang Gao was accustomed to the words of the same table, and handed over his mobile phone. Xiaoren, do you know what the visit will do? Lu Ren shrugged. It's probably that set, an alternative martial test, take us to see the military equipment, show how hard our fists are in the Liangcheng base. The female classmate's eyes lit up at the back table. What? Military equipment? Will this really show us? Lu Renxing came up with his head, stretched out his hand and began to gesture. Of course, pistols, rifles, sniper rifles, rocket launchers, tanks. There are also weapons and armor used by monks. We can all have a chance to see. Soon, the students around gathered and began to talk about the trip to the Liangcheng base. Tang Gao didn't have any greater curiosity. He had personally experienced too many arms recently, and he was temporarily not interested in arms. Even if there is a shadow attribute in his body, maybe when the time comes, he will have to rely on the violent justice messenger to cover the attribute and pass the inspection. Soon, the entire third grade began to go downstairs in an orderly manner, get on the bus arranged by the school long ago, and begin to go to the Liangcheng base on the outskirts of the city. The speed of the car is stable and relatively fast, the wind is very strong, and the hand can even reach out and even catch the tangible wind sliding through the fingers. But this incident soon ended with Teacher Tian's reprimand, warning everyone to pay attention to safety, do not stick out any body parts, it will be dangerous. Tang Gao recognized safety education very much, and even gave Lu Ren a few punches to make him do less such a scolding thing. Lu Ren was aggrieved for a while, and soon the scar was healed and forgot the pain, and began to put his face against the car window, pointing to the billowing smoke burning in the distance. Brother Tang, look quickly. There's a fire over there. Tang Gao glanced at it and looked very familiar. Huh? Where is this? Lu Ren shook his head. I don't know. When the students on the side heard the fire, they came over to look at it, and began to talk. I know this, it is Taisha village, and there was a murder not long ago. Do you know the place where the fire burns? Anyway, should we call the police? It seems to be the refinery of the Clover Group, and the factory was burned down. Hey, you see, there is a guardian bureau, and a military convoy has passed. Tang Gao followed his gaze and saw the convoy of the guardian bureau and the military, rushing towards the refinery in a row. Lu Ren was a little discouraged and clenched his fists. I don't know that such a big thing happened in Liangcheng. Damn it, is my nickname of Liangcheng PHS going to decline? Lu Rengang wanted to take out his mobile phone to check, only then remembered that he handed over the mobile phone, so he had to look helplessly at the fire in the distance. Brother Tang, this time is an accident, you wait for me to have a mobile phone, I will definitely be able to give you popular science about what happened here. Tang Gao's expression was calm. He glanced at it twice, withdrew his gaze, and said curiously, you say, is it a good thing or a bad thing that the Clover Group is targeted like this? Lu Ren's eyes were condensed. He nodded firmly, and his tone was affirmative, good thing. Tang Gao was a little surprised. Xiaoren was unruly a lot of times, and now he was so firm, it was rare. Why? Maybe those workers will lose their jobs. Lu Ren sighed. Brother Tang, I will just say one thing, you will know. Some of Clover's medicines are 4% more expensive than others. Tang Gao frowned. Indeed, I have heard about this matter, and when my mother was sick, she couldn't afford to take medicine. Lu Ren shook his head. No, I don't mean this, I mean. He paused, and his face couldn't help but show sadness. Among the patients with certain diseases, 3% of them died because they couldn't afford these medicines. Quote, the price of drugs has not risen to the point that they cannot afford it, but to the point that some people have died of illness. Lu Ren couldn't understand why the Clover Group did this, but he was angry and sad for a long time when he heard about it from his parents' casual conversation. Tang Gao fell silent for a while, shocked by this news. Of the patients with certain diseases, 3% survived. Speaking of numbers, it looks cold. But if these people who died, replace them with family members, blood relatives, close friends, neighbors with good relations, etc. It's easy to understand this feeling. Lu Ren's eyes were sad, and he slowly sat down, and his tone was sad. I hope that those who are sick can be taken care of. Tang Gao said seriously. Yes, it will be. Quote, Chapter 40. Soon, they arrived at the Liangcheng military base, and when they arrived nearby, everyone got off in advance and all walked. The elite class walked in the forefront, and Lu Ren, a guy who was whistling, shouted in front, pointing to two very realistic humanoid armors on both sides of the base door, "I'll go." What advanced puppet technology! When Tian Cheng heard this, he couldn't help but laugh twice, and his eyes were full of smile when he looked at Lu Ren. Lu Ren didn't know why, turned around and pulled Tang Gao to nag. Brother Tang, why is the head teacher laughing at me? Tang Gao looked at Lu Ren speechlessly. Haven't you been here? Don't know what that is. Lu Ren's big eyes were full of doubts. What is what? The corner of Tang Gao's mouth twitched and explained. Those are two second-order cultivators standing guard who use the breath-holding technique, so you didn't feel the life breath of the other party, thinking it was a puppet. Lu Ren's eyes widened. I'll go. When I came as a child, I didn't have this posture. Tang Gao shrugged. I don't know, maybe it's because of today's special situation. Teacher Tian Cheng walked nearby and sighed. No, it's because after that war, the Liangcheng military suffered heavy losses, and it took more than 10 years, and it took 2 or 3 generations to slow down. Tang Gao was stunned. He never imagined that it would be this answer, the war between the Terrans and the demon race. Quote, I have heard this many times, but I have never felt it intuitively. Teacher Tian Cheng put his hands on his back, looked at Tang Gao, and smiled. Yes, it took us a long time to recover, fade the traces of the war little by little, and create a peaceful and safe environment for you. This base was also built when your father's generation was young. Tang Gao's face was puzzled. Teacher, if that war is very serious, why not publicize the cruelty or strengthen our military defense? Teacher Tian Cheng looked proud, raised his head slightly, and his eyes were full of pride, because we won. He was proud for a while, turned his head, stretched out his hand and touched Tang Gao's head, and said with a smile, besides, we have died so many people, isn't it just to make you laugh and twitter at this moment? We're here to make you laugh. Tang Gao felt his heart beat inexplicably, and there was a feeling that his heart was shocked, and then he looked at this base, and his heart beat uncontrollably. When we were not yet born, there were people, many people, looking forward to themselves, looking forward to the birth of their generation, looking forward to us laughing and noisy, growing up brilliantly in the sun. Before our lives began, the love of our elders was planted in this land. Lu Ren also looked at teacher Tian Cheng blankly, and applauded unconsciously, it's cool. The students also listened stupidly, and they didn't know how to feel that the class teacher who was serious in the past was emitting a very different light at this moment. Tian Cheng smiled, felt the thief on his face, and walked to the front. Okay, line up, let's enter in order. Everyone obediently lined up and entered through the gate, and when Lu Ren entered, he looked at the faces of the two humanoid armors with wide eyes, and sure enough, he saw a pair of eyes shining with essence sweeping around vigilantly, guarding for all possible dangerous situations. Lu Ren smacked his lips. Obedient, it's actually a real person. Tang Gao said. Breath-holding technique, which is conducive to hiding the breath of life on the battlefield, with a certain disguise, is very suitable for latent combat, night combat, etc., and is a skill that elite military cultivators must master. Lu Ren nodded seriously, looking like he had a long insight. To be honest, I only felt it today. Maybe I was too young to play and didn't notice it. Quote, coming back here after many years has actually refreshed a wave of cognition. What a change. The students chattered hotly. I'll go, what a cool chariot, that's a chariot. Brother Bing is so handsome. It's a pity not to take pictures. Otherwise, I must take a photo to commemorate it. What is this statue? Teacher Tian Cheng followed the voice and looked over, saw a magnificent statue of the general, and said with a smile, "It is General Liu Zhangguo, the strong man who single-handedly turned things around in the war, and he is the most outstanding general in the Liangcheng military system, famous for his excellent command ability and strong personal combat ability." Lu Ren jumped up excitedly and pointed to the statue. "I know this person. He is also the guardian general of Liangcheng now." Tang Gao was a little surprised. "You actually know this?" Lu Ren was triumphant and rubbed his nose. "I'm a Liangcheng PHS. Quote. My dad worked under this hero." Teacher Tian Cheng laughed. "Yes, 6th order cultivators have a long lifespan. If you work in the Liangcheng Guardian Bureau and work hard to become stronger, you will definitely be able to contact this heroic warrior in the future. After so many years, his appearance will not change significantly from that year." When the students heard this, they said, "I'll go. Then after I finish college, I must come back to work and meet this heroic figure. I'm starting to wonder about the war. Cool, I want to be a hero too." Quote. The chats of the young girls are full of vitality, and they are also particularly noisy. Tang Gao sighed helplessly. For himself, a little like quiet, this liveliness is still a little heavy, especially after the physical fitness rises and the hearing becomes better. Lu Ren giggled and patted Tang Gao, squeezed his eyebrows, and mysteriously took out a pair of special earplugs from his pocket. "It's noisy, Brother Tang. With this, after I became a cultivator, I also suffered because of my good ears, and after a while, my body will naturally adapt, believe me." Tang Gao took it, put on the headphones, and suddenly felt that the whole world was much quieter, and he could still hear the outside world, but he felt that the noise was much less and much better. Tang Gao looked at Lu Ren gratefully. Although this social terrorist is sometimes terrible, but when something happens, he can really help himself solve it. Lu Ren smiled and patted his chest. "How about it? I'm reliable. Needless to say, give your brother 2 fewer punches when you practice." Tang Gao smiled brightly. "Don't worry, I will definitely help you get admitted to Qingkai, otherwise I am too sorry for our friendship." Lu Ren's face suddenly fell, knowing that this afternoon's beating of Lien was indispensable, and cursed, "Freshborn, I am not gentle with my brother at all." Everyone chatted all the way to the base square while lining up, and a red flag was flying in the wind in the center. Teacher Tian Cheng led everyone to the predetermined position, waved his hand to calm everyone down, ran the mana, and his voice was loud, "Quiet, prepare for the flag-raising ceremony." Quote. Everyone quieted down one after another. Soon, groups of soldiers entered, and on the command platform in the distance, several people in military uniforms also landed on the platform from the sky, brushing and saluting everyone. The leader, dressed in a handsome battle general costume, finished saluting, and applauded the welcome. The voice was not loud, but it spread throughout the huge square. "First of all, welcome the senior comrades of the 8th High School to us. Now, we will start the flag-raising ceremony. After the flag-raising ceremony, we will take everyone to visit and activities." Quote. The warrior is full of integrity, and his appearance makes everyone feel a little familiar when he looks at it, but he can't remember where he saw it for a while. When Teacher Tian Cheng saw the people on the podium, his eyes couldn't help but show a smile and love. "You guys are lucky, he actually came in person this year." Lu Ren looked stunned and muttered in a low voice, "Isn't it? It was actually General Liu." Tang Gao did not hesitate, and directly merged with the Violent Justice Messenger to strengthen the attribute coverage effect. Although he has the attribute of righteous chi, if he can be careful, he is careful, and it is best not to let him find out. Good guy, just came in and got on the intensity. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe.